Hey, you're listening to the Smoke Meat Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Pittman. Today on Smoke Meat, my guest is Mr. Jeff Krauss, one of the founders of Fanroom Live. Man, they've been having such great events. I know recently they just had Ice-T and Coco, his wife. And they've just got so many cool things coming up. We're just going to go on ahead and jump into this thing this morning. And just going to have a great time talking with Jeff. So here we go. Listen to us on Smoked Meat. Hey, so how you doing today, Jeff?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Man, if I was any better, I would be twins. A little cold over here in Georgia right now, but at least we're not getting snow, so I'm not complaining.
Well, we are getting snow in New York, so, and it is freezing here too, so we're in the same boat.
Yeah. And I hate it because down here, y'all can get 5 inches of snow, and it makes y'all put on an extra coat. We get a dusting of snow, and people lose their freaking minds. It is awesome. Because no one can drive.
Well, I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, right now I'm in the suburbs in New York, and it gets way worse here than it does in Manhattan. So I can understand.
Yeah. But oh man, but yeah, I know you're one of the founders of Fanroom. And
yes,
I've been checking this thing out. It's pretty awesome. I like the fact that entertainers are able to get out there and do things in this right now, because nobody can do a lot of live stuff right now. And if you're not doing live stuff, you're not making money right now. And that really sucks for entertainers. And y'all have found a way to make it where they can do that and still reach the fans and everybody can have a great time. And I love it.
Well, I appreciate you. Saying that. I mean, we've put a lot of work and a lot of strategy into making this something that the talent, the artists, and the celebrities with the fans can actually really engage and have meaningful conversations. That's the whole point of it. Is basically you get to meet the celebrity and ask them whatever you want to ask them. As long as it's respectful, we're good.
Yeah.
And everybody comes in. They have it's one big party, but everybody gets to meet the celebrity one-on-one.
Yeah, and that is so cool, because just doing this show, I've made some really great friends out of people that I never would have gotten to talk to in the past. And I know March 4th y'all have Leland Sklar coming on. He is such an awesome guy. Anybody that's listening to this needs to go to this thing, because he is amazing. There's no description for him. And
Leland Sklar is amazing. Yeah, he is doing March 4th. We actually also have Morgan Fairchild coming up this coming Sunday, February 21st. She's going to be doing a very rare meet and greet on Fanroom Live.
Oh man.
Yeah. So that's going to be really exciting. A lot of fun. People can get their tickets at fanroomlive.com. And we got a whole bunch of other guests that are coming up. We just announced Felissa Rose and Dave Sheridan. They're horror movie stars.
Oh yeah.
Dave was in Scary Movie.
Mm.
And they're going to be coming up on March 7th. We literally just had Ice-T and Coco on for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I was working. I missed it because I wanted to go on that one, and I wound up missing it. But
yeah, it was a lot of fun. Ice-T started asking some of the fans what they thought of the platform, and kept talking about how great it is, and Coco was having a blast. They also were promoting their new music artist, Zaim, who's got some great new music out that Ice-T is mentoring. So it's been it was a really fun event. Everybody had a really good time.
Very cool. Yeah, I love it when, celebrities will use their celebrity like that. They'll mentor younger people coming up because, I've done comedy for 30 years, and anybody I could teach something to or inspire or help out, I always have. And you meet so many people who have, what I always call made it, and ask them for advice or whatnot, and they act like you're just wanting to compete with them and won't help. And I hate that. It's not a competition. I'm not funnier than anybody. I'm not less funny than anybody. I'm just me. Do your thing. If I can help you, great. If I can't, oh well. I'll find somebody that can. And you get so many people that won't, and I love to see people like him that will help people get their start because they're the future.
Absolutely. And listen, I'm the same way. I mean, people have asked me for advice and help over the years, and I'm always the first one to give it, just because, that's the way I look at it is, people helping people is the way people, move up. They, lending a hand to somebody else is always, a great thing. And people lend a hand back, and it's a great motto to go by, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's the way I've always done things. And all the people involved, most of the celebrities involved that have been coming on Fanroom are the same way. But Ice-T in particular, what he's doing with Zaim, I think is really incredible.
Yeah.
Just because Zaim is, he's got a great voice and he's got a good heart, and Ice-T obviously has a great heart, and he's trying to, give him some spotlight, and I think it's great.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the kind of people I like to interview on my show. I've had some really, I hate to say big names or not big names, whatever. I've had some big names on here, and I've had some people who, like Leland. Before I met Leland, when Eileen said, "I've got you, Leland Sklar," and I'm like, okay. I'm thinking, who is this? And I looked, and I know his work well, all of it. He is my entire life growing up, And I like the people who were kind of behind the scenes, their work, but don't really know their names. And, I love getting new bands and new singers out there, and any kind of person that's trying to do it. I support them, and I'll get them on and talk to them, and I feel like I'm helping their career go up some. And that's pretty cool to be able to do that. I'm blessed to be able to do that. And I know y'all are able to also, and it's a wonderful thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Leland Sklar is not only is he a legend, but he's a great guy. Mm-hmm. Hey, listen, he's, he's been with Toto, which is one of the greatest, groups ever, okay. And many other groups, but, just his work with Toto itself speaks for itself.
Yeah.
And, he's got some great people behind him, Jimmy and Eileen, they're the best.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we're really excited to have Leland on, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I've got to get a copy of his book. I keep saying I'm going to order it, and I procrastinate terribly. I didn't get a birthmark until I was 8 years old. But, he's got the book out now where basically it's pictures of celebrities shooting him a bird. That's the whole book, and it's awesome. But that is hilarious. I just sent him a flag that had been hanging in my studio. It's a black flag, and in the middle of it's a big white hand shooting a bird. And I just sent him, he texted me the other day and told me he got it, and it's hanging in his house.
That is so funny.
Yeah, he is so awesome. He said years ago somebody shot him one, and he got a picture of it, and then he started asking people to do it, and he has got people you would never imagine shooting him a bird, just smiling. It's great.
Who does he have in his book?
Oh, you name it. You name it. He was telling me some of the people. Who is it? Oh man, and I just went totally blank. But it's hard to think of anybody that hasn't shot him one. But yeah, he is
That's
so awesome.
Hysterical.
Yeah, I think his beard could have its own meet and greet. That's how phenomenal that beard is.
But, Leland's beard is just legendary and epic. I mean, it's truly one of a kind.
Yeah, it's probably got its own green room when he goes to a show. That is how epic that beard is.
Absolutely.
I live vicariously through him because as a paramedic, I can't grow a beard because I can't. My N95 won't seal, and I really miss having a beard. But I live vicariously through his. Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, anybody that hadn't got their tickets for that yet needs to go get them because he is so much fun. Oh man, I love him. But
yeah. Hopefully he pulls out the some of the instruments or sings a song, but who knows?
Oh,
you never know with Leland. So
yeah, definitely. Well, I was looking at the website here. At the team you've got. It shows one of your co-founders, Cedric the Entertainer. I have been a fan of his since forever. Like I said, I've been doing comedy for 30 years, and I've never hit it really hard. I haven't put in the work to make it, but I've always just had fun with it. He's always been just one of the greats, and that must be awesome to be able to, do this with him.
Yeah, Cedric is one of a kind person. First of all, he's a good friend, and secondly, he's just a great person. I mean, when this whole thing started, when the pandemic first started, my partner Mitch and I were kind of just bouncing ideas off each other on what we want to do, and it was obviously very limited because live events, which is our specialty, is all shut down. So I called Cedric, and we kind of just gave him a little idea that we were thinking of for something that we were going to do for charity, where he could meet him and maybe some other celebrities could meet their fans, and it could be like a whole fundraiser. And he just said, "Hey, listen, let's come up with a concept. This could be something that could be really different and unique." So, from that, we started brainstorming, and we came up with the idea of having a moderated Q&A with fans where they can kind of just interact and have fun with each other, and but actually be one-on-one, like you would be sitting in a living room with each other, but everybody's watching.
Yeah.
So it's like everybody gets a turn to sit in the living room, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it's been a great time working with Cedric, and great time creating and coming up with new ideas and building this thing out. And of course, he's one of the funniest people there are on earth, so that doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, I imagine the company meetings get fairly interesting.
Yeah, he could certainly make you laugh. That's his. That's one of the beautiful things about him. Yeah. Aside from his heart, he can definitely make you laugh. So.
Yeah, and one thing I like about him is, a lot of people, you can see somebody on the screen or on the stage, and you can tell that's a persona, and that's not the real person. And if he's not that guy, he is doing the best acting job I've ever seen, because he seems like when he gets on stage, that's just him, and I like that a lot.
Yeah. I always say that the people that excel the best are just being themselves and an extended version of themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, and, doing comedy for so long, I've gone through every phase. I had my blue phase where every word was the F-bomb, and you name it. I've gone through every phase there is, and my best success is when I finally decided, just get up there and be yourself. You're an idiot. And it works because I'm an idiot. And people respond to that. This show, when I first started, I would, I would put on a little persona. And I found out the episodes where where I just put myself out there, get so much better reaction. So much, it's just people identify with it. If they want to hear somebody canned or whatever, they can watch TV. If they want to hear me, then that's what they're going to get. And I like that a lot too.
Those are always the best situations where somebody is just being themselves, and you could tell. I mean, like if somebody's putting on an actor persona. I mean, not even just Cedric. Like even his friends, like George Lopez, all those guys. Mm-hmm. They're all just being themselves.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, there's no real act. I mean, even when you're around them, they're just funny as hell and great people.
Yeah, and I love making people smile. I love making anybody feel good, because there's enough garbage in this world right now and you want to feel bad, all you got to do is just look around half the time. People don't need any guff from me, and if I can make them laugh or smile for 5 minutes, man, it's worth it. And I love people like that, because they seem to make the world a better place, and that's always a good thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, and right now that like we talked about, I like the fact that we've got this thing now, because everybody thinks that performers, if you download their songs, they're making so much money. With records, they made pretty good money. With downloads, not so much. Live performances where everybody was getting paid at. And now, stages are few and far between. And this is definitely helping out. It helps out the fans too.
Yeah, the live performance area is a huge market, and when the pandemic hit, I mean, it just
yeah,
it hurt everybody, because if you can't perform live, then the venues are shut down. What are you gonna do? So now they have the opportunity to interact with their fans right on Fanroom, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, and that's one reason why I do my show the way I do. Is like I told you, I can get on there and I can go, Leland, tell me about working with Toto. Or I can get on there and we can talk smack for an hour and just be ourselves, and people are invested in Leland. They know him, they like him, they want to know what he's doing next. And people will follow harder. And I feel like I'm able to give that to people. Because, when I first started with Jimmy and Eileen, the first guest that Eileen gave me was Fred Schneider from the B-52s. By the way, great guy. So he's funny, he's friendly, he's just an awesome guy. But I was really excited. Biggest name I had ever interviewed. And, I grew up around Athens, so I know the B-52s well. That was their music there. And I wrote 3 pages worth of notes. I mean, just everything in the world about them. Sat down, started talking to him, and mentioned Rock Lobster. And he said, that's 40 years of history. People can read all that. Let's talk about what's going on now. And I'm like, oh, crap, I've lost 3 pages of notes. I have nothing now. And on the fly, I just kind of started doing like we're doing, just talking. And he taught me that. He said, people have heard all this before. And I realized people go on these podcasts and listening to Howie Mandel. I listened to 5 different shows he was on. Everyone, they asked him all the same questions. He gave all the same answers, and you could tell he was so tired of that. And I don't want my guests to experience that. I don't want them to want to get off this phone with me and say, man, I'm glad that's over. I want them to say, it don't seem like we talked for an hour and a half. And a lot of times they do.
Well, yeah, of course, because think about it. If you're Leland Sklar or you're Fred Schneider or anybody, and you're going on a podcast or you're going on a show, and every podcast is asking you the same questions, the audience is not learning anything new.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like personally speaking, I mean, I'm a huge wrestling fan.
Oh yeah.
And I love hearing the old school stories that have never been told before.
Yeah, that's me.
I love the stories that have never been told before because you want to hear something, you want to hear something new. So I totally relate to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see where y'all had Jake the Snake on, man. That was, that is a comeback story right there. He's had him a rough life, and he's seems to be doing really well now.
Oh, he's doing great. I mean, he's sober, and he's just a great person. Really, really down to earth.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a little story. We had him on back in October as well on Fanroom, and at the time, and even still, but at the time, the pandemic was still, relatively new. He wasn't able to travel really much, of course. So him doing this was a big deal to him because he knows how valuable it is, to be able to connect with his fans.
Yeah.
Well, when he logged in, he realized that there is a paraplegic girl or a girl that had a special some sort of illness or disabled,
mm-hmm.
whatever have you, that he had been visiting since the 80s. And as soon as he saw her on there, he was like, "Oh wow, this is incredible because I haven't been able to to come see her."
Mm-hmm.
So it was just really really amazing, and it really meant a lot to him, which so Jake is just a great person. I mean, no bullshit, just tells it like it is, and
mm-hmm.
Whether you love him or you hate him, but he's a great guy.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you, when like I say, I'm almost 50. I'm 49 now, and I've been watching wrestling since I was a kid. Gordon Soley, Georgia Championship Wrestling. And just growing up, and he was such a huge part of all that. I mean, he was one of my favorite guys, and to have him on there, that's great because, like I say, he had a really bad time, with addiction and all his problems, and he has come back so well. I watched the documentary that Diamond Dallas Page and him did, and that's awesome. He's got a friend that would help him like that and work with him, and just that shows he's a good guy because nobody's going to help a total piece of garbage. Yet, Dallas did, and that was really cool.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that Dallas, I mean, of course he helps Jake, but he also helps Scott Hall, who also has had some major issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was just incredible that Jake, that Dallas really, was there for his friends and made it like, hey, listen, if you're going to live in my house and we're going to get through this, you're going to go by my rules.
Yep.
And, he held them accountable for everything and made sure that they got from, point A to point B, because he knew that he could do it, that he could get them to that point.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
Just absolutely incredible that Dallas was able to do that.
Yeah, and that's a true friend. I mean, and there's not a lot of those in this world. I had some strokes about 5 years ago. I had two of them. The first one I didn't know I had. The second one I was actually on the ambulance when I had it, and I knew about that one. And during my downtime and all my troubles through that, it's funny. I had friends who I just knew was going to be with me to the death, and they just kind of disappeared slowly. And I had people who I thought, okay, this is an acquaintance, who jumped in there and just, man, I can't thank them enough just for the support. And I learned, you learn quick when you're down who your true friends are.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear that, by the way. I mean, how did you find out that you had a stroke?
Well, the first one, like I said, I didn't know I had it. It didn't actually do anything, which shocks me. But the second one, we had dropped. I was in Thompson, just out of Augusta, and we had dropped a patient off in Augusta, and we were standing down in the ambulance bay talking to another crew. And my sense of humor, I can be a butthole sometimes, but I mean, it's all in fun. But one of our EMTs that I was talking to, I was being a total dick to him. I mean, big time, and not the fun way. And we got in the truck, and I said, I'm going to check my sugar. It may be low. I'm not diabetic, but I said, something's not right. And it was a little low, so I took a tube of Insta glucose, which is like a glucose gel, and put it under my tongue, and it brought it up some. But it dropped again really fast. And we pulled into a convenience store, and I went in, and I said, well, I'm going to get some carbs. And I basically ate the convenience store. I got candy bars, honey, but you name it, it was there. And it came back up, and I started stuttering really bad. And I called my wife, and she said, put Rocky on the phone. And that was my partner at the time. And we were actually in the driveway to the doctor's hospital, and he said, yeah, I'm about to pull down there now because something's not right. And she had told him to take my butt to the ER. And we got there, and he wouldn't let me get out of the ambulance. He went and got a wheelchair, and he wheeled me in. I'm like, great, okay, whatever. And we got in there, and I heard the words code stroke. So I'm like, great, I'm going to be here forever because they're going to be in there with that guy. And the room just flooded with people. I'm like, oh, shit, it's me. And I had what they call a lacunar stroke, which means all the blood vessels in my brain basically clamped shut. And the first one, you can actually still see on the CT. I have a place in my brain toward the bottom of it at the left basal ganglia that it's almost black on the CT. But, I got lucky. It didn't get me physically. It didn't make it where I can't move or anything like that. But it gives me the stutter that it actually comes back sometimes. I really hate that. But I have days where I cry all day long. It's a booger. But, I've recovered. I'm back on an ambulance, and I'm actually an officer now. So. And it's been hard work, and it's been a lot of good friends that helped me. That's where the name of this show came from. Smoked meat. Had a friend who loved to hunt and all that, and he just didn't like wild game, so he would kill a hog or a deer, and he would bring it to my house, and me and another friend would clean it. And one, it's free meat. Two, I grew up doing that, and I got tired of doing the same thing with them every time. You can only make so much hamburger. And I learned how to make sausages, different kinds, and pastrami, things like that. And that centered me and helped me recover. So as an homage to that, the show's called Smoked Meat. But yeah.
Wow. What an incredible story. I mean, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that.
Well, I look at it this way. I wrestled with it for a long time. I was raised Southern Baptist. If the doors of the church opened, I was in it. And there were some highs and lows during that. Me and God wrestled a whole lot. And he finally won. And everybody told me, God's got a plan. And I got to where I would yell at people for telling me that. I'm like, there's not a plan in this. I'm broke. I'm not able to work. I can't do anything. This is garbage. There's no plan here. And yeah, he just basically told me to shut up. There's a plan. And he showed it to me, and we're here now. So, it works. It works. But I'm happy I went through it and sad that I did it at the same time. And it was so neat when
Well,
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I guess what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, as they say.
Yeah, definitely. And my wife and kids, I've got two daughters. One's 20 now, and one is about to turn 18 at the end of the month, or in the next month. And my oldest daughter had some friends over at the house for a slumber party, and she was about 15 or 16 at the time. And the stutter came back. So I just went in my room and started watching TV in there, and she came in there and said, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm staying in here because the stutter's back and I don't want to embarrass you." And she said, "If they don't like it, they can go home. You're my daddy. I don't care. I like you." And that just flew all over me. It's making me feel good now. A teenage girl, especially that age, is real self-conscious to begin with. And here's her dad sounding like the water boy, and it's easy for her friends to make fun of, and she did not care. And that was so cool of her.
Wow.
I told him one afternoon, I said, "I wish I could be a normal dad for you right now," because I was having mood swings. I would just yell at stupid things and just be crying, everything that came with it. And my youngest daughter, she's killing me. She is me made over, so I'm getting paid back. She looked up and said, "I don't want a normal dad. I want you." Gosh, she's killing me. But yeah, they've all been just, man, I can't do enough for them. Yep.
That's just such a touching, touching story. And not to mention, sounds like you have a really close relationship with your kids.
No, we do. Matter of fact, my oldest one's back from college. During COVID, she came out just because she was in Augusta at college, and we said, "Well, everything's getting locked down. We want you at home." And she's here now. My youngest daughter is about to graduate high school. She got screwed out of her senior year by COVID. No prom, none of that stuff, but she's still having fun with it. And we love them. We're buying a house, and they're already fighting over which room they're getting. And we've got some outbuildings, which we've already got plans for. And my oldest daughter said, "Which one is my dance studio?" I'm like, "None of them. You're going to move out one day." But yeah, she's probably going to wind up wrangling one. Probably the one I'm going to use for my studio. So, gotta love it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we've raised.
Sounds like you got great kids that really care about you.
Yeah, they're good girls. I wouldn't take $1 million for either one of them, but I wouldn't give a nickel for 10 more just like them. Yeah, my youngest daughter, she apparently started this campaign several months ago with my wife, and it bled over into me as the culmination. But she loves animals, and we've got a dog, and she's a 20-year-old Jack Russell. She's an old dog. And my daughter saw a miniature pig and planted that seed in my wife's head. And about 2 months ago, I'm laying there in the bed, we're watching TV, just chilling out, and my wife starts talking about these pigs. Well, I get online and I find a place about 2 hours from us that has these pigs. I'm like, "Oh, look at this one." Long story short, about 3 days later, I was driving above Atlanta to go pick up a pig. We now have a pig in the house. So, yeah.
That is funny.
They know how to play me pretty well. But, yep.
I can see.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'd have never dreamed I would have a pet pig named Gus that wore a red flannel sweater.
Hey, now you can add something to the checklist. You got a pet pig.
Exactly. Exactly. But they know how to play me pretty well. But they're good kids and such a great wife. Man, I love her so much. She's awesome. And it's funny, I've got some friends who, one of them, you may know her, Sherry Nelson. She's been a Maxim model. She's awesome. She is the most pure soul I've ever met. She is so great. And we'll go back and forth on Messenger because she's in Canada, and if we call, it's going to get expensive. So we'll just go back and forth on Messenger. Hey, how you doing? All that. And people ask my wife, it doesn't bother you that model's talking to your husband? She just laughs. She knows. Even if I was that kind of guy, I could never land a model. She just laughs about it. She is very realistic. I definitely married way out of my league. Definitely. If anything happened to her today, I would be alone the rest of my life. If anything happened to me today, she would have to beat fellas off with a bat. Yep, I am very self-aware.
That's funny. And yeah, no, Sharon Olsen is it's really nice.
Yeah.
We've chatted a little bit on email.
Yeah.
Super, super nice girl.
She is great. I love Sherry to pieces. I was actually her first autograph she sent out. She came on the show, and it wasn't long after she came out in Maxim, and I told her, I said, I need a picture for my wall. And she said, okay, and she sent it to me, and she was so excited. She got me to take a picture of it up on my wall of fame to show her dad, and that went a long way with me right there. And she said, that's my first autograph. I'm like, really? She said, yeah, really. So that was really neat to be able to share that with her. But yeah, she is so much fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Well, whenever y'all get down here to Atlanta, you, Cedric, anybody, Jay, Mitch, Chanel, anybody comes down here, y'all got to get in touch with me because I will feed you because I cook anything.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Next time I'm in Atlanta, that'd be great to great to meet and hang out and shoot the breeze for sure. And I appreciate the invite for dinner. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, like I say, I can cook anything from packaged ramen to homemade ramen that I stretch my own noodles for, to you name it. 'Cause that's one thing I love to do still. And I like to find new things to cook. When I have a patient that has an accent I don't recognize, I'll ask them where they're from, and if it's some country I've never heard of, or even one I have, I'll say, all right, what's your favorite recipe? And they just kind of look at me like I'm nuts for a minute. I like trying new things, and 99% of the time it's really something pretty good. Now, once or twice it's been, no, I'm not making that, but for the most part, pretty good stuff. So, but yeah, it kind of throws people off when they're on the ambulance and I ask them what they like to eat, but it gets their mind off what's going on with them.
Hey, listen, I'm in the hospitality business, so asking what you like to eat is the best question. Everybody loves food,
yeah.
So
yeah, definitely, and it's funny. I've learned doing this show. I used to ask everybody on the show, what kind of barbecue do you like, or what's your favorite dish? And I learned a lot of people in England don't eat meat, which is strange to me. I mean, a lot do, but a lot of my guests have been vegetarians over there. And I'm like, okay, what kind of chicken do you like? I don't eat chicken. I eat vegetables. Oh, huh? Okay. But it was funny. I interviewed Robert Wald from Arliss, and it was almost like he was interviewing me. He asked me a lot of questions, and he asked me a really good one I've asked a couple of people. He asked me what my death row meal was. And, when you sit and think about that one, that's a tough question to answer because mine changes daily. But that's a really good question that, just wondering what would people want their last meal to be. And I finally narrowed it down to my last meal. This is the kind of butthole I can be. I want my last meal to be a Popeye's biscuit with no drink. That way, that'll go ahead and choke me out, and the state won't have the satisfaction of killing me. So,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I have a few favorite dishes. Love tacos.
Mm-hmm.
Ravioli. Love ravioli.
Oh, you would.
And alla vodka.
I've got a ravioli I do that's. I've got one that is lamb and feta, and another one I do is ricotta and spinach, and that one's my family's favorite one because I love doing ravioli.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like boxed pasta. I like making my pasta.
Yeah, ravioli with spinach is and ricotta is amazing. Yeah, I mean, obviously burgers are great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got one burger I do that you would probably like. It's a huge one. It's not one you eat in one sitting. But I've got a 2-inch deep, 6-inch across cake pan that I'll use, and I'll put a little brown sugar in the bottom of it, pack it as full of hamburger as tight as I can get it, and then poke holes in it and pour a little bit of bourbon on it where it'll soak down in. Then put some more brown sugar on top and put it in a smoker for about 20 minutes. And then finish it off on my griddle where it caramelizes that brown sugar. And it is the smoke and the bourbon and the sugar flavor, it just works. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, that sounds really, really good.
But yeah, like I say, I love cooking. It's nothing like making something and watching somebody eat it and they're smiling about it. That's always a good thing. But yeah,
Absolutely.
I've got a couple of things I cook my kids don't really like much, but my wife does, so I keep Mama happy. But I'll do chicken pot pie for her, things like that. She's just a good old country girl, and that's the kind of stuff that she likes, so I make sure to keep her happy.
That's awesome.
But yeah. But I tell you, anytime you've got anybody on here you want to promote, send me an email, send me a request, hell, call me. I don't care. You got my number, keep it. And man, I'll promote the mess out of anything you got. I'm looking forward to Morgan Fairchild. I listened to her on Jimmy and Ron's show, and wasn't too shabby. And
I appreciate that because there's always people looking to spread the word and about what they're doing on Fanroom, and that's great. And yeah, no, Morgan's awesome, and she's gonna be it's gonna be a lot of fun this Sunday for sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate you offering that because we could always use extra help and promotion, and
yeah, and
also be good to send try and send some guests your way. So I do appreciate that a lot.
And I wish that I understood different ways to get my analytics better, because I use Anchor for my podcast host, and they'll if you download my podcast from the Anchor link, it shows what it is. But like Apple, I don't know how to get their numbers. But I chart regularly on Apple. I've been in 9 countries, which is really cool. And it had been a month since I've been able to record or put out any episodes. And I put one out a couple of weeks ago, or about a week ago, as a matter of fact. And it started at 210 on Apple. I'm like, holy crap. It's been a month and people are still listening. And when I was talking to Jimmy, he asked if I promote the Apple site much. And I'm like, no, I don't really. I just click share from Anchor. And he said, that means it's getting its own traction. So that's really cool. I would love to be able to find out those numbers, because that tickles me, because it's not easy to chart.
Yeah, I guess you should definitely ask Jimmy how to do that. I don't know the ins and outs of podcast analytics, but I'm sure Anchor is a good starting point, so to speak.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they've been good. I used another one to begin with, and I started putting out a lot of episodes. And I'm a cheap guy. I'm the cheapest man you will ever meet, probably. And I would pay $20 a month. It wasn't a big deal, but it got to where I was doing so many episodes, I figured it up, and it was going to cost me about $100 a month to do this thing. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. And I went to Anchor, and they don't care how much you upload, which is awesome because I upload a lot when I'm able to anyway. But, they've been really good to me, and I've enjoyed them, and I'm still using them today, and I'm going to keep using them. Everybody tries to talk me into going to these other ones, and I'm like, look, Anchor's got me everywhere. They don't cost me anything, and they haven't failed me yet. So I'm pretty happy with them. And I've got some people who I've helped start podcasts. I've got a great friend of mine. He's a paramedic also, and he's a comedian, and his name's Jesse Suggs. He started one called Small Talk with Jesse because I think he's 4'11", and I helped him out with equipment and have been doing advice, and he's just starting with it, and he's getting a little frustrated at times because he hadn't got the huge numbers yet, but I told him, you're just starting, just keep plugging away. It will come, I guarantee. But he's a funny guy, and he does really well with it. He's done some interviews, and he does some solo shows and things like that, but he's finding his feet, and he's doing really good with it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's just got to keep plugging away. That's how it works,
Yeah.
Little by little, you just keep going and never give up, and just keep plugging away, and good things will always happen.
One thing I love is the fact that, I actually gave him some equipment to begin with, and he's gotten some new equipment. I showed him my recorder that I got, and he liked it, so he got it. And the equipment I gave him, he passed it on to someone else who wanted to start one. And that's so cool to me that, he's paying it forward, and hopefully that person will too. And there's no telling how much this little $60 board and mic that I had will spread. And that's so neat. That seed's been planted and just growing. Because who knows, it might inspire the next Joe Rogan. And by the way, if anybody out there has $100 million and they want me to just be on their platform, I will gladly do it. So just putting that out there.
Listen, I think we would all say yes to that. But
yeah.
No, listen, I mean, Joe Rogan. You've got to remember, Joe Rogan's been doing this for a long, long time, and built his stuff up.
Yeah.
It took a lot of work, but he did it.
Yeah, he's earned everything he's got. I mean, he's awesome, and I thought I was diverse. No, there's no telling who you'll hear on him, and he doesn't sugarcoat anything.
No, he gives his exact opinion on everything.
Yep, whether you want it or not. But he's getting it out there, and I'm proud of him. I mean, he was one of the first ones in this game, and he's done great.
I mean, listen, and he's brutally honest. Some of the things he says you might not like, but it's just how he feels. And hey, listen, it's enjoyable to watch for sure.
Definitely. And it's funny. I had a guest. I won't say their name, but they've actually got the same name aside from one letter of somebody that's been on his show. And before I had done my research, I just found out the name, and okay, cool. I got him on this day, and I was telling a friend of mine about it. He said, dude, that person was on Joe Rogan like 2 months ago. I'm like, no. He said, yeah. And I clicked on it, searched that name and just typed in Joe Rogan. And sure enough, I'm like, holy cow. And then I spelled the name correctly. And I'm like, no, they weren't. Wrong one. But it was still an awesome guest. We had a great time. And we laughed about that because that was really funny. but yeah, I mean.
That's hilarious.
And I'll tell you somebody else who I love to listen to on the podcast is Kevin Smith. I mean, he is everywhere. And hopefully he's finishing up Clerks 3 right now because I really want to see it. But, I mean,
yeah, Kevin Smith is hysterical.
Yeah. And
so is Jay Muse.
Oh, man, I would love to have either one of them on the show. I told someone one time, if I ever get Kevin Smith, it'll be my last episode because I can't go anywhere else after that. And I think that's why the world has not made it where I could get Kevin Smith yet. Just I've had a couple of people from the VSQ universe, and that's been pretty cool. Pretty cool to have. But I've not reached the peak of that mountain yet. I'm working on it though. One day. So you just never know.
Yeah, listen, hey, you never know. I mean, look, Kevin Smith is is an approachable guy, so you never know. Maybe he would want
to. Yeah. Well, you never know. But either way, I'm just going to keep having fun with this thing and keep helping people. I like pushing independent artists and filmmakers and folks that don't get the big pushes from big companies. And I feel like it's good karma because everybody needs help. And when I'm able to do that, it feels so awesome. And I've gotten a lot of great music from it. Because, I'm that old guy. My playlist has been the same since the 80s. Everything else is garbage. And because of the show, if I'm going to interview somebody, I'm going to listen to their stuff or I'm going to read what they've done. Mickey Burns taught me about that. He scolded me on my own show, but really nicely. And he's written a book, and he was telling me all kind of stories. And I said, man, I've got to get this book. And this mid-story, he started telling me about a person who was getting interviewed on a podcast, or on a radio show, actually. And he had written a book, and he called in at the appropriate time. And the guy said, man, we're glad to have you. He said, have you had a chance to read my book yet? And the guy said, no, but I'm going to. And he hung up on him. And he said, that
Wow.
just shows disrespect to the guest. And I'm like, I'm getting schooled on my own show. And I almost edited that out. And I said, nope, you don't edit stuff out of your show. It is what it is. You were wrong. Suck it up, Buttercup. So now I make sure I know my guest. I read, I listen, and I've gotten some really great music out of it. Stuff I would never have just hunted for. And that's a gift.
That's awesome.
Yep. And I had one person one time who was he did rap, and I'm not a big rap guy, but the way he sounds, it's actually pretty good. It surprised me, and he's real diverse in the style of his songs, and some of them almost sounded like parodies. And I called Eileen. I said, Eileen, I don't want to insult this guy. I said, is he a rapper or is he a parody of a rapper? He said, no, he's a real rapper. I'm like, okay. And then I listened to more of his music, and I could tell then, but that was so strange. But I'm glad that I did the research on him because I still got good music out of it. But
that's hysterical.
That one song, when we're not recording, I'll tell you the one song and who it is, and you've got to listen to it because it's a hoot. To say the least. But oh man, well Jeff, I tell you, man, we've been going almost an hour now. It doesn't seem like it, does it?
No, not at all.
Yeah, see, that's the beauty of the show. You get sucked in, man. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. You just talk about anything and just have fun with it. That's the whole name of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like I say, man, anybody you got to promote, let me know. I'll spread the word because this is a great thing, and I'm ready for live performances to get back. But till then, this is what we got, and it's a wonderful thing, man. I'm loving that y'all thought outside the box and have got this going.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate the support as well. So.
Hey, anytime, man.
Very, very cool of you.
Outstanding.